What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more classical music, and indeed, we're back with some more Johann Sebastian Bach, the most prominent member of the Bach family, Bach musical family, indeed. A couple of his sons were also successful musicians. Christian Philipp Emanuel, perhaps more than any other one, aside from his father. But yeah, bottom line, a grandfather of classical music, not the first really prominent composer of the modern era, but certainly one of them, the master of the Baroque era, someone who, and his work in counterpoint and so on presaged developments in the classical era, which, Mozart would sort of come to crystallize right at the end of it. But yeah, bottom line, an immense influence on countless composers, not only in the immediate wake of his career, but also, right up into the modern day. And yeah, if you've ever heard any of his music, that there are times where you can turn on a classical radio station, and if you have those near you, and the reason I mention that is because this CD compilation that we're going to listen to comes from a local classical music station that's been around a long time, and there used to be two in Southern California, KUSC, which is still in operation, still running, and K-Mozart, another awesome channel that eventually, just through lack of funding and whatever, dried up and died. But yeah, bottom line, you hear a Bach piece on the radio, and even if you don't know the piece per se, or at least, you're not able to determine what it is right out of the gate, oftentimes you can, oh man, this is Bach. I can just feel the Bach sound. So yeah, we're going to listen to one of his more famous pieces. We're going to listen to Air on the G string. Many of you will know this tune. It's been used in movies and TV shows, extensively. I think one of the most prominent appearances I remember is it's in the movie Seven, the David Fincher film with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. And it's used when they're in the library trying to, study the like Divine Comedy and the Seven Deadly Sins, and they're basically trying to figure out what motivates the killer. And it's like this perfect, it's this dark, unsettling, psychologically twisted film. And yet in that moment, it's this very sort of like urbane and sort of like intellectual feeling while they're in the library. It's like this nice counterpoint emotionally to most else what happens in the film. The tune itself comes from Bach's, Orchestral Suite number 3 in D major. I'm not, out of sheer memory, I can't think of the other movements or pieces that comprise the Orchestral Suite number 3. Obviously this piece would be the most famous from it, but yeah, it makes me wonder if I have the full orchestral suite somewhere. Again, I have so many classical CDs, many Bach CDs, so I'm going to react to this just because it's the piece that, again, is like, the reputation far exceeds that of the work from which it comes. But down the line, I'm going to see if I have a full copy of the whole Orchestral Suite number 3, and if I do, we'll listen to it, including, like, arguably or probably listening to a different performance of the Air on the G string. So, in any case, this is a Listener's Choice Volume 1. I'm not sure exactly when this came out. We'll see if there's like a copyright on it. 1999 it looks like. So yeah, this is a compilation, almost 25 years old. As I said, KUSC's been around for a while, and they do these pledge drives where if you call in and donate money, you get, like complimentary gifts, including CD releases, sometimes like, 10 CD sets, as long as you donate something like $40, which feels like, okay, wait, so are you guys still making money off my donation? Because you just gave me something that probably would cost more than $40 if I got it in a store. But yeah, so they released compilations from time to time. This is one of the compilations they released. So the performance of this piece of the Orchestral Suite number 3 movement, or sub-piece, Air on the G string, it's conducted by Yehudi Menuhin. Again, not sure about the pronunciation there. Apologies if I'm not getting it right. But it was performed by the Bath Festival Chamber Orchestra. So here we go. This is Johann Sebastian Bach, Air on the G string from his Orchestral Suite number 3 in D major, conducted by Yehudi Menuhin and performed by the Bath Festival Chamber Orchestra. plucked strings. Sublime is the word that comes to mind. That little melodic wrinkle. It's not just that those plucked strings are sort of nice sonically, but they give it a real steady rhythm. Emotional tone is complex. It's beautiful, it's elegant. There's a bit of longing in it, which means like a bit of being unfulfilled. Maybe even a tiny bit anxious, even though it again is in another way very sweet. To it, even if it's very beautiful. I feel refreshed. I feel lifted, transcended. Yeah, it's an amazing tune. Although again, like when I think of that tune from memory, I think of its elegance. I think of its subtlety, its sublimity. But as I was listening there, I was catching all those things. I was feeling all those emotions. But I was also feeling again a sort of melancholy, a bit of a longing. Again, meaning sort of. A lack of being exactly how you would like to feel, a bit of being unfulfilled. So yeah, the tension, at least in some of the moments, felt a little bit stronger than I would have thought about just prior to doing the reactions. So it's amazing, you know, pieces I know well. I've heard not only a particular performance on a certain CD or record many, many times, but that's the kind of piece that, you know, I've heard it composed, or not composed, I've heard it conducted and performed by a number of different conductors and orchestras over the years. As I said, I'm going to go through and I'm going to see if I have a full copy of the third Orchestral Suite in D major by Bach, and if I do, it'll be interesting to hear, like, perhaps, if the performance of that part of the suite in another version with another orchestra, another conductor, has a slightly different sound, maybe, more or less of that sort of tension or unfulfilled feeling that I was getting. So, yeah, let me know what you think of this version. Once again, shout out to Bach. Not my favorite composer. I think that has to go to Beethoven, with Dvorak kind of like a 1B. Antonin Dvorak, one of my very favorites, but again, Beethoven is, he has the reputation he has for a reason. Same thing with Wolfgang Mozart, don't get me wrong, I love his work as well. He's certainly in, like, the top 5 or so, but yeah, Beethoven is probably my favorite, Dvorak right there with him. So yeah, I'm gonna have more of those composers coming soon. Shout out to Johnny's girl. She mentioned that she started following the channel through the Duran reactions, but mentioned that she does like a lot of classical music. She mentioned she's fond of Chopin, so I'm gonna put Chopin on the list. I'm gonna get to a reaction of one of his, let's say, sonatas, or presumably some piano piece. He is the piano poet. So yeah, I'm going to get to a Chopin piece soon. Shout out to Johnny's girl. I do appreciate anyone taking an interest in the classical reactions. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time.